This is Josh Kidd, and this is the third of 4 videos about your initial data import into Hands-on Connect. In this video, we'll be looking at volunteer teams, volunteer team members, and volunteer events. I've got these tables open in tabs already here, along with the master field list for reference. These 3 tables are ones that you may or may not be using. If you're not planning on using teams or not planning on having them imported to start, you can skip volunteer teams and volunteer team members. Volunteer events are collections of opportunities that happen over a specific period of time. For example, if you have a volunteer event for the Martin Luther King Day weekend, you'd have an event that spans the 3 days of that weekend and have a number of volunteer opportunities connected to those events. If you don't have any events like that, you can skip this as well. That's not required. So taking a look first at the teams table. The first column is a unique ID. If you've watched the other videos, it's the same as all of the other tables. And next we have a name. Your teams will tend to have names for themselves, indicating possibly their affiliation or something else of that kind. Duration, just fill in persistent here. There are other options. Let's take a look at those quickly. One-time or persistent. One-time teams aren't really used, so in most cases you'll just be filling in persistent here. Status, again, active, inactive. And then visibility, private or public. A private team can only be managed by a team captain. For a public team, anybody on your site can sign up for that team. Then a brief team description. If the team is affiliated with an organization, for example, if it's a volunteer team from, say, IBM, you can put the organization ID for IBM in here. And that's pretty much it for teams. Next we'll look at volunteer team members. This is even more straightforward. Again, a unique ID, then the ID for the volunteer team. That's what's in this column. And then the ID for the contact, who is the team member. Status, again, can either be pending, confirmed, declined, or former. Pending comes up when a team captain signs somebody up for this site, somebody who is not already a user. They'll be in pending status until they sign in and create a user for themselves. Confirmed is what generally will be in the status here. It's probably what you'll want to put in for your initial upload. Declined is if a pending member decides they don't want to be on the team, and former is somebody who was on the team but is no longer. The captain column is either true or false. If that person is a captain, put true in. If not, then put false. And that's pretty much it for volunteer team members. And last, we'll take a look at volunteer events, which again is a very simple table. The first column is the ID column, then the name, National Volunteer Week, Martin Luther King Day of Service, the start date for that event, the end date, and a brief description. And that's all we need. So these are perhaps the 3 easiest tables, but also may not be necessary. In the last video, we'll be going over volunteer opportunities, occurrences, and connections.